Well, members of the Ghana Medical Association, they've been on a 2-week strike now. We're told that they will be considering whether to stay on the job or to resign come Friday, 14th of August 2015. They issued a press statement yesterday, which they are asserting that the ongoing strike was necessitated by government's lack of seriousness during negotiations over members' conditions of service. The doctors have also accused government of failing to properly mandate representatives capable of taking any decision on its behalf on the negotiating table. We've had the president come out to say that it will be totally impossible for him to take on any more bills on this current budget that we're running. So the question is, can we consider what the doctors are asking for us to pay even in the next budget, in the 2016 budget? We've been trying to look for answers, and I caught up with the chairman of Parliament's Finance Committee, Mr. James Kluche Avaji, yesterday in Parliament. I bring you back that conversation here on my banner. Honorable Avaji, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you too.
Is it difficult for government to come to some kind of agreement with the doctors in terms of the conditions that they're asking for?
Yeah, thank you very much. Government is the employer, the doctors are the employee. Definitely there will be an agreement between the employer and then the employee. So yes, it is difficult for government probably to accept the demands of the employees, but I believe strongly that with the negotiation, both will come to a compromise position. So government will have to accept some portions or some elements of what the doctors are asking for, and the doctors will also have to agree with government on what both of them will put on the table. So yes, it is difficult for government, or it will be difficult for government, if government knows that what the doctors are asking for, accepting it will have implication on the finances of this economy.
But would it?
It will. It will definitely. In fact, even if it is one city, it will have implications. Currently, we are running a deficit budget. This is not something new to only this government. It is something that government all over the years have run a deficit budget. In fact, most countries have run a deficit budget. Which deficit budget means that the total revenue available to government in a particular financial year is not enough to meet the total expenditure needed for that government for that same period. So what it means then is that your total expenditure is more than your total revenue. So you have to go and borrow if you want to meet all the expenditure that is needed. You have to borrow. So you are running on a borrowed fund to run your economy.
Which is not necessarily new to us.
It's not,
so
it's not new to us.
We could borrow and pay the doctors, can't we?
It's not new to us, but the degree or the amount that you have to borrow has a limit. You cannot say, I need 10 million or 10 billion Ghana cedis to run the economy, and the money available is 8 billion Ghana cedis. So I can borrow 2 billion. Now, if all of a sudden there's a demand from one section of employees that we needed more, and for that matter will increase your spending to 12 billion, it means that instead of borrowing 2 billion to meet your budget for the year, you are going to borrow 4 billion. The implication here is that the deficit here is bigger than it should have been. So The ability to pay back that loan is what you should look at in order to go and accept that, well, let me borrow to pay you. After all, tomorrow money will come for me to pay. But if you know that you don't have the resources that will come to pay for what you'll be borrowing today to pay them, then it will be difficult for you to go and borrow. Don't also forget that if you accept what they're asking, if you're asking additional 2 billion, that will make it 12 billion. Don't forget that in the subsequent years, they are not asking for only this year. And then next year, they reverse to the old position. It's something that is going to be continued.
Yes.
So it means that in the subsequent year, you have to look for 12 billion, and then look for the one you borrow to meet what they're asking for. So it is not a simple thing to say that, oh, we'll be borrowing, so go and borrow and pay them. No. It will affect the base of our economic structure, and it will have a higher implication which we cannot bear.
But if this is the explanation, then it means that we can never give in then, because it would be the same consideration the next year and then the year after. But I thought if we couldn't make provision for it in the 2015 budget, which they are saying they didn't also want it this time anyway, then we could make provision for it in the next budget, can't we?
If you accept what they're asking for, you will definitely make provision for it in the following year, in this case 2016. But the implication it will have is that there's going to be a change in the structure of your expenditure. To be a change in the structure of your expenditure. This is a 2015 budget. In this budget, the total revenue that we are expecting to derive from our tax revenue, from non-tax revenue, in this case, the fees and charges that we have been paying at some of the government departments, or petroleum revenue, or all those things, is totaling 32 billion Ghana cedis. That is our total revenue. Assuming that everything works perfectly, we are going to realize the 32 billion Ghana cedis. Now, this 32 billion Ghana cedis will be used to meet government expenditure. What constitutes government expenditure? One, the number one item is the compensation, the wages and salaries, the Senate contribution, all those that form the compensation. Total 12.3 billion Ghana cedis. You have to take it from the 32 billion. Then the next item that you need to pay is your debt servicing, interest payment. We have borrowed in the past to meet the budget, to provide for capital expenditure, to build roads, to build hospitals, and the rest. All these, there are interests accruing on this money. You have to meet those interest payments. The total for this 2015 is 9.7 billion Ghana cedis. Then we also have grants that we give to other government units, which we call statutory funds. The statutory funds are funds that are created by law. The government have to collect those money and give to those institutions that we have established for specific purposes. I'll name them. District Assembly Common Fund. We are saying that 7.5% of tax revenue for government must be ceded to the district administrator of the Assembly Common Fund, which will be shared to all the district assemblies, municipal and metropolitan assemblies in Ghana for development projects down the local level. Now, the total that we are expecting to give to these institutions is 7.5 billion. Now, this Assembly Common Fund is one. The GET Fund for education purposes is another one. Health Insurance Fund is another one. Road Fund is another one. All these put together give you a total of 7.5 billion Ghana cedis. You have to meet that as well. So you meet 12.3 billion, you meet 9.7 billion, you meet 7.5 billion. If you pull these together, 12.3 plus 9.7 will give you about 23 billion. You add 7.5 billion, give you 32.5 billion, which means that all the total revenue that we expect to get in a year have gone into all these areas. You have not gone into administrative expenses, which is 1.9 billion for the running of the state institutions. You haven't gone there yet. You have not gone into arrears that you owe contractors in the previous year. You haven't gone there yet. You have not even looked at any capital expenditure that is needed in the year to meet the road construction that we want, to meet the provision of energy that we want, to meet building of additional facilities in terms of hospital, school, and those. We have not come to that at all. Now, if you look at the total expenditure, if we want to meet capital expenditure as well, total about 39 billion, which was later revised. But I'm just using the budget that was presented by the Minister of Finance in November last year, which means that if we should go by this, and we are to meet the 39 billion Ghana cedis as our expenditure, and we are to meet the 32 billion Ghana cedis as our revenue, there's a shortfall already of about 7 billion or 6 point something billion. Where do we get that money from? We have to meet this money from loans that government will take, which means that as we take this loan, our interest burden for the next year will also increase again because a more loan is being taken. So if government should accept the position of the doctors, what will happen is that this pattern will change, which means that next year what will go into compensation will no more be 12.3 billion, it will be 12.3 billion plus any salary increment that government will give, plus additional one, which is the demand from the doctors. Now, if we do not get more revenue, more than the 32 that we have estimated this year, then assumption that our revenue remain at 32, what will happen is that once the 12.3 billion for wages and salary or compensation is increasing to, let's say, 14 billion or 15 billion, what will go down is that we look at interest payment. It cannot go down. It's by law. You borrow, you have to service the debt. If you don't, judgment debt. So you can't touch that one. You go to the statutory funds, debt fund, administrator, common fund, health insurance fund, road fund. They're all by law. You can't touch them. The only area that we can touch is the capital expenditure. So we have to stop constructing new roads. We have to stop building new hospitals and the rest.
I don't think we totally have to do that. We can just cut down and set priorities.
I'm saying that if for this year we plan to spend about 7 billion to meet those capital expenditure for those roads, hospitals, water sector, energy sector.
Sure.
If government accept the position of the doctors, and with the assumption that our revenue remain at 32, what will happen that the extent to which the demand of doctors go will chop into, let me use that word,
the development projects.
budget.
Sure.
Which means that we might not spend 7 billion again on development budget. If what the doctors are asking for work up to about 2 billion, then the development budget will cut down to what? 5 billion. So if that is what we want as Ghanaians, then let's say, oh, let's give it that. Let's collect the money and pay the doctors. Let our development suffer. So that nobody goes to the president and said, come and do our road for us. Nobody go to the president and said, we don't have water in our community. Nobody should go to government and say, we need a district hospital, we need a regional hospital. Our development will stall. And it will have implications for us. So I think that...
Isn't there another alternative?
The alternative is that we accept the position of the doctors and we give more money to government to meet what the doctors are asking for.
That's paying more taxes.
Paying more taxes. Because if we say government, it is you and I, we Ghanaians, that form the government. All of us, 25 or 26 million Ghanaians, cannot take decision at a meeting. Where are we going to hold that meeting? Well, all 26 million Ghanaians or 25 million Ghanaians.
Well, that's why you are members of parliament.
That is why we have elected people to lead us, to take those decisions on our behalf. In this case, the president, as the leader of this country, he will take that decision on your behalf, on my behalf. But if we say the president, he takes a decision that I want to pay doctors more. The question is, where will the president get the money from to pay that doctors more?
But isn't the situation a priority enough for us to want to fix it as quickly as possible?
Yes, I agree with you perfectly. That if what they're asking for is genuine, government will have to meet them. But if government meets them, it means that government have to look for the money. Where does the government usually get the money from? I told you that we are getting 32 billion this year. Where is the money coming from? 25.3 billion is coming from taxes that are paid by you and I and the companies. If we don't pay that taxes, government has no money. That is all we are giving government. We all contribute. You pay a little tax, I pay a little tax, everybody pay. We give it to one pot. President use that money to meet our expenditure. So if the president, we're asking the president to accept the position of doctors, and the president accept that, and additional 2 billion or additional 3 billion is what government has accepted, the president accepted, it means that we have to give more money into the pot to allow the president or to enable the president pay that additional cost. If we are not prepared to give more money to the president, then the president should not accept the position of the doctors. The issue is that if there are money available for the president to use to meet the demands of workers, to provide infrastructure, what benefit will it give the president to refuse using that money that we have all given him to provide the facility for that?
Let me ask you a direct question. You're chairman of the finance committee.
Sure.
Should we pay whatever we agree to? I mean, should we agree to something? It sounds to me as if the doctors want some sort of commitment, which it looks like we're not ready to give in. But shouldn't we commit to something at least?
If you ask me, first of all, I am not in charge of taking the decision on whether we should pay this or that. Those decisions are taken by the government and it's brought to Parliament for us to look at.
You sit in a very privileged position.
Yes. If the president takes that decision that, yes, we need to pay the doctors, and the president justify how he's going to raise that money, and that justification is something that convinces me, I will approve of it. But if it does not, I will look at the implication. And I know that the only way the president can justify by additional revenue is for us to ask we, the citizens, to contribute additional to what we've been doing now.
Should we do that? Has it come to that?
I don't think we are prepared to pay more taxes.
Which means we're not ready to pay the doctors anything more than we're already paying them.
If we should pay them, then other areas which I've mentioned, development budget will have to suffer. So we need to choose between these two.
Is what they're asking for that heavy? I mean, is it so much that it would affect, even if it's developmental projects, it would affect it so much?
I don't know the quantum of what they're asking for. You know, there are a lot of issues that fly on the social media. Some of them are not authentic. But if what they put on the social media is what they're asking for, the total amount of allowances they're asking for more than double their basic salary. It means that it's huge. It's huge because you look at all the medical doctors in this country, and there is one thing that we should not forget, that we are running a system of paying salaries, single spine pay policy. It's a policy. It has a process that needs to be followed. And the implication that I foresee is that once what the doctor is asking for, if accepted, will derail that policy that we are running, we're in for trouble. Because doctors are class of employees for government. There are other classes of employees. Okay? Doctors are asking, you give it to them. Another group of employees will also stand up. You give it to them. Another group will ask, you give it to them. You are completely destroying that policy that you have put in place.
But if they're entitled to,
what do you mean by entitled to?
How could they be working, for instance, without conditions of service? That's not fair to anyone.
I believe strongly that the doctors have been working in this country for ages, before I was born, before you were even born. How were they working all this while without condition of service?
You know how they've struggled with this for such a long time.
No, how were they working without condition of service? If the single spine salary structure is a policy, is a pay policy, is that not the condition of service of which doctors are part? Is that not a condition of service? How do you define condition of service?
I've heard some of the doctors say, for instance, if I was operating on someone and something happened to me, I would take care of myself. There's
something happened to you like what?
If I should collapse right there when I'm operating on someone, that cost will be my own cost. You know, I am ill on the job and I have to take care of myself. I've heard some women say, when I was pregnant, I still had to come to Kolebu and pay, you know, even as a doctor. And you know that even as private workers, our employers have given us insurance cards, for instance. So you go to the hospital and they pay for you. So when you hear a doctor say that I'm working for government and when I fall ill, I have to take care of myself.
The government hasn't got an insurance policy for this country? You think so? What is a health insurance policy about? What is it about?
Do the doctors have something like that? I mean, let's look at the doctors at Kolebu, for instance.
Doctors are citizens. I have my health insurance card as a member of parliament. Okay? And I'm entitled to attend hospitals free for those facilities that are covered under the health insurance card. So the health insurance card is a policy for government workers and extend beyond government workers to all Ghanaians. You are a taxpayer, okay? You pay to government. Government use that money to pay the workers and provide you with the social goods, to build road for you so that you can drive on it and go to work, to provide water for you so that you can have access to good drinking water, to provide the energy for you so that you can have electricity and use, to provide school for you so that your children can attend school, to provide a hospital for you and pay the doctor so that when you go there, they can attend to you. Now, if the doctors are saying that what they are being given is not enough, then we, those of us who contribute and to government for government to pay, let's be prepared to pay more so that we can meet those demands. It's as simple as that. It is not that the money is there and government is refusing to give them. If we have given enough to government and government is refusing to give to the doctors, then we have to question government. Why we have given enough? Why have you refusing to give the doctors so that they can attend to us when we go to the hospital? This case, we have not given enough to government. I just gave you the data here.
But are we explaining these things to the doctors?
We should. We should explain to them. I think this is one of the medium for them to.
But government is sitting down with them. They're negotiating with them.
I believe that at the negotiation table, all this will be laid bare for the doctor to appreciate the position of government.
Well, in the meantime, we're still counting down to the time when they say that they're going to resign en masse. It looks like we're almost daring them to.
I don't think that we are daring them. I don't think that we are daring them. If negotiation is ongoing, why do you say you are daring? If government say, I'm not going to negotiate with you, then you have a case. Government is sitting down with you, negotiating with you. You can't say you are daring.
But government has openly described the action as illegal. And the president has also, said firmly that he's not going to go beyond what is in the budgets for 2015.
Sure, because the budget, look.
So why don't we agree something with them which would take effect next year, for instance?
I think that is why the negotiation is ongoing. That is why the negotiation is ongoing. Whatever they will be agreed on will be communicated to us. If you are to pay more taxes, if I'm to pay more taxes, to be able to enable government to meet that demand, definitely Ghanaians will be made known of that. So the negotiation is ongoing. I think that we should allow the negotiation to continue, and then whatever conclusion is reached between government and the doctors will definitely have implication for the next year budget. As I said, the pattern of expenditure will change. More will go into wages and salaries, and less will go to other areas.
Because of the doctor's demand?
Sure.
Mr. Veji, we'll see how that turns out. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.